Hello and welcome to another Bart's Wargaming video. Today we'll be going over Season 2 Leakgate 2023. This is going to be all the changes for cities and what you're going to be wanting to use and how to run it. So we're going to start by going into the points and then discussing some of the new changes to the GHB and how that's going to affect your armies. So going into points, first off, Dark Shards. So they got -5. It isn't really a big difference, but they are a decent shooting option. And for 110 points, they might just be worth bringing for that decent battle line that's just going to sit there and do a little bit of damage for you. Next up is Dread Spears. They did add 5 points to Dread Spears, bringing them to 90 points. So they might not be your go-to battle line. That being said, your new battle line might just be Free Guild Guard. They went down 5 points, so they are only 80 now. So when you're fielding 3 minimum battle line, and you want to throw out 3 units of Free Guild as opposed to Dread Spears, you're saving yourself 30 points now. That might be an endless spell, might be something else for you. Another great battle line option is Longbeards. For 100 points, they are a great defensive option. They have a 3-up armor save in close combat if you give them the shields, or they get extra rend. If you don't give them the shields, they still have a 4-up. They're a decent little battle line unit. The only thing that's bad about them is that 4-inch move. Next thing I want to bring up is the Cogsmith. Yeah, he's pretty useless, but he is a hero for 60 points because they took him down 10 points. And he shoots. You know, he's going to do a little bit of damage. He's not really that amazing, but again, he is a hero. A lot of the battle tactics have to do with dealing with heroes or killing heroes. Next, I want to bring up the Battle Mage on Griffin. He went down 15 points. He's one of my favorite casters to begin with. I've been bringing him in different lists, and just him getting an extra 15-point decrease is amazing. Along with that is the Free Guild General on Griffin. He is down 20 points as well. He's a great option for a fast army that you're trying to get some humans charged in there. Blackguard are down 15 points. They are another good optional battle line. If you have your Sorcerer as a general, they're a great battle line unit. Again, only 120 points. The Sorcerer thing allows them to be able to run and charge. They do have Rend 1, 2 attacks apiece. They're a pretty good option, guys. Getting across the board quick and killing something. Dark Riders are another one I want to bring up. They are down 10 points to 110 points. They're really cool for that -1 leadership bubble. Anvil Guard got a little bit of buffs as well, so throwing them with Anvil Guard Charybdis means you can give everyone in a little aura -4 to their leadership. That means you kill one dragon, the dragon's on leadership 4, guys. Leadership 4 with Horrorghast around. Oh, baby, you might be able to do some more. Next up, let's discuss Drake Spawn Knights. They went down 10 points. They are a great option. They have a pretty good move. They're only 110 points, like I said, and they have a 3-up armor save. They're pretty tanky for those 10 wounds. I think they're a great option, especially with completing these cities-specific battle tactic where you're trying to get a banner out there. They can sit there and they might not die from whatever comes after them. Hammers. I don't know why they gave them -15 points, bringing them down to 130, but they are a great option for hard-hitting infantry. Putting them in a dwarf hero in the new battalion sounds like a pretty decent idea. Get a lot of attacks from the hammers. You know, you could use a command point to get an extra attack from them too if they don't need to pile in, depending on what you're fighting. Scourge Runner Chariot got 15 points added to it. That brings it all the way up to 100. I don't think you're going to be bringing this much at all. There's only a few lists that ran it. I got a buddy of mine that's got 1 billion of these, and I know he'll be sad about it, but it kind of is what it is. Last and definitely not least, this is a 5-point change, so it's not that big of a deal, but Phoenix Guard went down to 170 points. More importantly than Phoenix Guard going down to 170 points, they are no longer going to be terrorized by bounty hunters. So they're going to be very good. I think you're going to see Phoenix Guard in a lot of different cities lists. If you got some and you haven't painted them up, I'd start working on them right now. Okay, that being said, let's go ahead and hop into what points difference for Stormcast Eternals are going to really affect your armies. The Lord Arcanum on Turlon lost 35 points. He's only 250 points. For Hallowheart, he's a great point to channel your Immortal Wounds. He's got a 3-up armor save. He's a monster. He moves quick. He's got a lot of cool little things. His spell's okay. But also he gives +1 to hit on everything he moves within 3 inches of. So you're going to want to move the rest of your army first because he's faster, and then move and set him where you need to. And then give a little +1 to hit aura. You could also move him first, and something that's got crazy movement can run away from him as well. Next, the Knight Zephyros. Man, this thing is down 20 points. Means it's only 100 points, and it's got an innate teleport. I absolutely love this dude. He'll be teleporting around the board, capturing points for you. I think he's in a really good spot. The Knight Vindictor's in the same position, just not quite as good. It is a 12-inch move model, but it's still 140 points. It has a decent little shot. It's not amazing, though. I don't know if it's worth taking 40 points for that extra shot, though. I've got 2 units for Stormcast that I want to bring up. Next up, let's discuss Castigators. So they are down 15 points. That's going to bring them to 90. Now, if you have a reinforced unit at 180, yeah, that does cost you a reinforcement point. However, they do almost as much damage as long strikes. They don't have as much range, granted, but they are a pretty good option, and they are just as tanky at 60 points cheaper. And then everybody knows my favorite Protectors went down 5 points. I don't know why they rounded this one down. Obviously, they're going to 10s, but they should never have rounded this one down. It should have been rounded up. They are so efficient. If you do the math on them, it would blow your mind. They are better than Fulminators on the charge in a lot of stances. And they just do not die. I mean, they can stand around through anything. I've had them charged by Fulminators, dragons, whatever. They always stay there. They always all out defense, and they're always around at the end of the fight. All right, so that brings us out of the points. Let's go ahead and just start discussing what's going to be good and what's the big major changes that this GHB is going to bring for us. So standout units with these changes. There's no more bounty hunters. So that's innately going to make battle line units better. So that's the Phoenix Guard, the Black Guard, Longbeards, Hammerers, maybe Sequitors, and Vanquishers for sure. So you're going to be able to bring these a lot more freely in your armies. You don't have to worry about bounty hunters just coming in and squashing that giant double reinforced unit that you're just trying to keep around. Especially Hammers, because they don't take a battle shock test. You don't have to worry about ghosts getting them or giants or anything else. I want to bring up what heroes to look out for. Which ones are you going to be bringing to your army that you didn't before, or they're just going to make them even better? So first off is Assassins. They can pop out just about whenever at the start of a combat phase. You can also put them into the retinue battalion with a unit, and that way the assassin's just always in the unit. It's just waiting to pop out. That means it can't get shot off even by the snipers. They do pretty good damage, and like I said, they're just a really good option. On a 6s to hit or wound, it's D3 mortal wounds. They're pretty solid in combat, and it's really cool that you can just pop them out whenever, and they are only 80 points. Next up is Cogsmith. Again, I only say Cogsmith because he's only 60 points. If you're trying to figure out some stuff and you're like, cool, maybe I'll bring this 120 point hero. Well, maybe it's better for you to just bring 2 Cogsmiths if that 120 point hero is not giving you very much. You get 2 Cogsmiths, they get a little shot, and guess what? That might bring you to another artifact or whatever you want to use. Next up is the Anointed on foot. Again, him making Phoenix Guard Battle Line are going to make them very strong, a really good option for you. And he does good damage, also gets a Dispel, and that 4-up ward save is not bad. He can hang around with those Phoenix Guard as well, and this is one of the few units with Phoenix Guard that's probably going to get to do the trick where you get to fight in your hero phase. Next up is the Warden King. Love throwing him with a bunch of Hammerers. The Hammerers aren't quite as tanky as you'd expect them to be, but they do an insane amount of output, so putting a Warden King nearby, as long as 1 or 2 live, you just do not have to take battle shocks when you're near a Warden King. Next up is the Knight Vexillor. He can teleport a unit of Stormcast. So if they were a battle line unit, you can teleport, we'll say a unit of Vanquishers right across the board. So they're outside of 9, right? And then you can use the Night Flyer Cloak to have him fly behind them and have them in a unit together. It's a pretty cool little trick. I don't know if it's super worth bringing to cities, but it is a really cool little thing that you can do. The Knight Zephyros is also a great option. Really like him, again, because he's teleporting around. Of course, the Lord Imperator with his free command ability and having 8 wounds is really nice. He's just going to be a tanky dude that's able to stand there and kind of deal with stuff. Finally, probably the most important, the Lord Castellan with his 8 wounds on a 3-up is just too good. And he gives out a +1 armor save to a unit of Stormcast. Normally you're going to be using this with dragons, fulminators, protectors, something along those lines. But he'll just hang out with those guys, especially if it's protectors. Oh man, you can put those 2 together and just let them march forward. Oh, it's a great option. All right, let's jump into the new GHB changes. So let's start out with Desperate Action. So you take 2 heroic actions, got to be the same hero, in your hero phase if it's the bottom of the turn. Now again, I love this for Halahar. So let's say we got our little Lord Castellan and we give him an Arcane Tome. He's got 8 wounds. He's a great point for me to channel, right? Because he's now a wizard. All right, so I'm going to try to get a CP from him. Let's say I do get a CP from him. Cool, I'm going to spend that CP to then do D6 mortal wounds to him to add that to all my casters. Well, because again, I'm choosing the order of operations, I can then do another heroic action, and he's going to try to heal himself for D3 with the heroic heal. Now, there's a lot of cool little things you can do with this. You could just get a CP, Finest Hour, all kinds of great stuff. In that same set, the new heroic actions are a great option for this because this is the only opportunity for you to do it. Again, some of the great options are going to be, maybe a unit of protectors and a Stormcast hero, or a unit of Phoenix Guard, like a pretty enhanced unit of Phoenix Guard, and then the Phoenix Guard hero as well. So you can use Strike at the opening, which allows the hero to fight in the hero phase. That's not really that great. There's not a lot of Stormcast or Cities heroes that really do a ton of damage, but what's really good, the combo that you really like, is the Lead by Example. Lets the Sworn Bodyguard fight after they do. The combo is decently useful. It's more useful for me if you're in the bottom of the phase and you're really trying to finish stuff off. Again, these guys don't have to be in the same combat together, but if they're both in combat, it's going to be able to allow to trigger it. It doesn't happen very often. Again, there's very few options where they're going to charge into you and not just one-shot you. This game is pretty swingy back and forth sometimes. And that being said, again, I'm going to say Phoenix Guard and maybe a unit of like hammers that are really buffed, or a unit of Eternal Guard that are really buffed might live through a charge. And I say Eternal Guard only because you can very easily give them +2 to save with the Sister spell. But again, this isn't going to be happening very often. It's not something to rely on. To me, I might bring it, but I also might not. To me, it might just be better value to just be a 1-drop. So let's go into the relics, if you guys haven't seen them. The Tusk Helm allows you to charge and do mortals depending on what your charge roll is, just like ogres do. It's not that amazing. I don't think you'll see it very often, but it's a fun little cheeky thing. Maybe you throw it on a little hero, and like a Knight Zephyros, he teleports across the board, charges, gets enough damage to finish off a hero. Night Flyer Cloak. At the end of the movement phase, set up within 1 inch of a battle line unit and 9 inches away from enemies. Not that amazing for cities again, but if you are using a battle line unit that can teleport, or a battle line unit that you can get set up in a different spot, you can really get that hero across the board and maybe do some cool battle tactics with it. Finally, the Griffin Feather, and this is a 5-up ward. It's pretty good, especially on, again, the Stormcast heroes, because they have more wounds to work with. That 5-up ward gives you a little more value there. Now to the aspects of the champion. Tunnel Master. I really like this. Is just a pick him up and set him up again outside of 9. He must be able to normal move, though, so he can't be in combat. So just keep that in mind. Next, Fueled by Gersh Rage. This is my personal favorite. When they die on a 3+, they heal D3 wounds and stop allocating wounds to them. That means you can throw a little foot hero, like a little wizard, out in the open. Let him get charged by a unit of Fulminators. They're like, oh, easy kill on that wizard. And you're like, no, actually 2/3 chance he survives. And then he just walks out of combat. It's super annoying. Stubborn as a Rhino. The model counts as 10 unless there's another champ on that point. Now, this one to me is not as super useful, but it is really great if you've got a hero that you want to keep around and keep it next to maybe, like I said, maybe the Protectors or something that's tanky. They're on the front part of the unit. He's on the back part of the unit. Allows you to really control that point, and they can't take it from you. Finally, Leadership of the Alpha. Use command points 3 times in 1 turn. So the rally one's maybe not as useful because it's really hard to get 3 rallies off with the same guy. Redeploy might be pretty cool. There might be some really nice options, but I think this is probably going to be used for a triple all defend. If you've got a really big front line and you're going to get into a big fight, maybe you just want to all-out defend everything. Or finally, the Realm Sphere Magic. It goes off on a 6. You choose an objective within 12. Each unit within or on the point, we'll say, takes a D6 mortal wounds on a 4-up. It's pretty strong. I like it a lot. What's the counterplay to it? Just stand a model on top of the point, and then they can't see the point because you gotta be able to see it. It's kind of dumb. I don't know. Hopefully we get FAQ, but as of right now, model standing on the point, you can't see the objective. The command ability. So you can use a command point, pick a unit. That unit cannot pile in. However, you add +1 to attacks. Doesn't work with mounts, monsters. The units that I really like on this are Protectors, Grand Hammers, maybe Hammers, Blackguards, those type of things. I really like Protectors. Reason being, you put 4 Star Soul Maces in there. All those Maces are getting 2 attacks. So that's 8 dice, 2+, they do D3 mortal wounds. Really love it. Just really consistent damage. I mean, on average, it's going to be about 14 mortal wounds, not counting the rest of the unit swinging. So some really cool things. I think with that being said, you're going to be able to use a lot more battle line units. They're going to be really nice in this GHB. And I think we're going to see a lot more little foot heroes that are really useful. Since shooting's kind of losing a little bit of power, I think the Phoenicium is going to be really strong coming out of this. People that aren't using them, you might want to start looking at them. It's going to be better than a lot of the other units or other armies that I've seen. Like I saw a really cool Tempest Eye list. It's just a lot of Phoenix Guard and a couple of Phoenixes and stuff. But the list would just be so much better in Phoenicium. There's a couple different options, and one of the reasons why I like Phoenicium so much is you do fight on death. You can pop foot heroes out with the assassins. There's just so many cool little options you can do, and then they've got a really good heal spell where it heals every unit within range D3 wounds. I really like that for the the larger monsters and stuff. One final note: if you guys are looking to get into cities right now, I'm going to caution you. I don't know if I'd go out and buy a bunch of stuff. If you're printing stuff, cool, man, print it all the way. The humans I'm worried about are getting relegated. The elves might be relegated. A couple different things are going to end up going to Old World, and so we really don't know what's going on. I think dwarves are decently safe right now, and I don't understand why dwarves are safe and wood elves aren't. However, it is what it is. I just caution against going out and spending a ton of money on city stuff or ordering it offline if you know the new book's coming out right now. I think, like I said, a safe bet is go ahead and maybe paint up some of your Iron Drakes or your Dwarves. The hammers are going to be great either way. So you're good to paint those guys up, see them on the board, and kind of go from there.